All right, welcome everyone. I am so incredibly thrilled you're joining us today because, wow, do we have a story to unpack. Today's explainer is all about a truly wild, true story of an unexpected lifesaver from a tiny town in Texas. It's the kind of story that literally captured the heart of the entire nation, and it shows us exactly how courage can pop up in the places we least expect it. So, we're going to dive right into the true story of the hero goat of Texas. I know, a hero goat. It sounds exactly like a fairy tale, but I promise you, every single thing we're going to cover today actually happened. So what does a true hero look like? Take a second and actually picture that in your mind, right? When you think of a typical hero, who pops up? Maybe it's a first responder in full uniform, or, maybe a cinematic superhero standing tall against danger. We all have these deeply ingrained templates for what a hero is supposed to be. But today, we're going to completely flip those expectations on their head, because the protagonist we're about to meet doesn't walk on two legs, definitely doesn't wear a uniform, and, spoiler alert, certainly does not wear a cape. Part 1. An ordinary Texas goat. Well, actually, scratch that. I have to clarify right out of the gate. Daisy was anything but standard. She was an incredibly curious creature, super fearless, and just absolutely loved exploring new places. 8. That is the age of Ethan, a young boy living in this exact same Texas town. At 8 years old, you're really just a kid playing in your backyard, completely vulnerable to the unpredictable forces of the world around you. And very soon, Ethan's young life is going to intersect with Daisy's path in a profoundly terrifying way. Which brings us to part 2, the powerful summer storm. So it was a typical summer afternoon when this severe, completely unexpected storm slammed into this small town. We are talking about relentless, heavy rain that just rapidly flooded the streets. First, right in the afternoon, the storm hits, families hunker down inside, but then the unthinkable happens. Amidst all the chaos and blinding rain, 8-year-old Ethan wanders away from his backyard. He ends up entirely lost near a rapidly flooding creek. And then, darkness falls. Search teams, neighbors, everyone mobilizes. They are desperately looking for him. But hours pass in the biting cold and pitch black. You can imagine the hope just shrinking with every passing minute. Because despite giving it absolutely everything they had, they find nothing. Part 3. Daisy to the rescue. Okay, so while the human search parties were out there struggling in the dark, the intense storm actually blew down a fence on Daisy's farm. And, well, for a highly curious goat who loves to explore, that was basically an open door. But instead of running away to safety or finding shelter from the rain, Daisy wandered right toward the most dangerous area in the whole town, that treacherous, flooded creek. Just imagine the sheer terror of that moment. It's pitch black, the storm is raging, the creek is rushing, and through all of that deafening noise, a faint, desperate cry echoes in the dark. Help! And that tiny, tiny sound suddenly catches the attention of our fearless goat. So instead of getting spooked by the noise or the weather, Daisy goes right into action. Step 1, she escapes through that fallen fence. Step 2, she actively tracks that faint cry for help. She navigates through the dark and miraculously finds Ethan sitting on a muddy hill, just incredibly scared and freezing cold. But here is the kicker for step 3. She doesn't just find him and leave. No way. She stays right beside the frightened boy and repeatedly bleats at the absolute top of her lungs. She literally became a biological emergency beacon in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, the search party, who remember had been coming up entirely empty-handed for hours, suddenly hears this persistent noise cutting right through the storm. They follow the loud bleating right up to that muddy hill, and there they find him, safe and sound, with a goat standing guard right by his side. I mean, what an absolutely incredible moment of triumph. Which leads us to part 4, the hero goes viral. Millions. The very next morning, videos of Daisy and Ethan together gained millions of views all across America. Really think about that for a second. In an era where our attention is pulled in like 1,000 different directions, millions of people stopped whatever they were doing to watch the story of a fearless goat and a rescued little boy. It spread like wildfire. It just resonated so deeply with people from coast to coast. In fact, the story captivated the nation so completely that news stations everywhere officially crowned her with this legendary new title, the Hero Goat of Texas. She wasn't just Daisy the farm animal anymore, guys. She was a certified, bona fide national icon. And of course, a hero needs a hero's welcome, right? The town held a massive special celebration entirely in her honor.
She was awarded a giant ribbon, a very fitting accessory if you ask me. She was given free treats for an entire year, which I am absolutely sure was her favorite part of the whole shebang. And to top it all off, she was thrown her very own parade. The entire community came out in droves to celebrate the four-legged neighbor who saved one of their own. But, beyond all the viral videos, the giant ribbons, and the parades, Ethan's family will simply never forget the goat who stayed by his side. They expressed this incredibly deep, unforgettable gratitude. To the rest of the world, sure, Daisy was a viral sensation. But to Ethan's parents, she was the literal miracle that kept their son safe when he needed help the most, out there in the freezing, terrifying dark.
And that brings us to part 5, our final takeaway. True heroes lack capes.
From that fateful day forward, Daisy became so much more than a local pet. She transformed into this amazing national symbol of courage, kindness, and unwavering loyalty. People actually traveled from all over the United States just to visit the farm and meet her in person. It really goes to show, we don't always need a traditional hero in a cape swooping down from the sky when things go terribly wrong. Because true heroes, sometimes they have 4 legs and a heart completely full of courage. They can come in the absolute most unexpected forms. Small, furry, and just someone or some goat who outright refuses to run away when they hear a cry for help.
So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with this one thought. Who are the unexpected heroes in your own community? Daisy taught us that courage is literally everywhere if we just take the time to look closely enough. Who are those unsung, everyday figures around you who step up when the storm hits? Think about it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to explore this wonderful story. And hey, keep looking out for those everyday heroes.